Good evening and welcome to the City of Frankfort Board of Commissioners January regular meeting. Today is January 26th. It's 5 p.m. and we'll begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Unger?
Here.
Commissioner May?
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Willis?
Here.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Present. And we begin tonight, we have a special ceremonial and recognition on the agenda, Police Department promotions, and I'll invite our Chief, Derek Napier, to the podium.
So we have three promotions here tonight. The first one is going to be Patrolman and Canine Handler Tony Catania is being promoted to Sergeant. If he would just come up and bring his guest. If you want to get a picture. Will you get pictures? I forgot about that part of it. I had instructions to do that. Good deal. Next up, we have Detective Jonathan Bentley, who's been promoted to sergeant. If you and your family would come up. You can clap. Our next promotion is Sergeant Jason Janone is being promoted to lieutenant. If he would come up with his family. Oh, they're pros at this, though. You're a major in the National Guard. He's been through this a few times. If everybody wants to come, because I know they had a lot of guys come support them, if they want to come up too.
Can you take that so you get up there with the guys? No, he said like that, we'll support him.
I did want to mention there's actually a fourth promotion. It's Sergeant Gonzalez is being promoted to lieutenant, but his flight was canceled, his return flight, so he won't be back till Friday. But thank you all. Till Friday.
That's a long cancellation.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congrats, everyone.
Are you just getting started?
All right, we'll move on. No citizens' comments that I saw coming in. Anybody would like to say anything? No? All right. Move on to consent calendar.
Item number 1 on the consent calendar, we have the minutes from the work session December 15th, 2025, a regular meeting December 15th, 2025. We have a construction agreement, Broadway and Ann Street repair, R.J. Corman Railroad Company, Central Kentucky Lines. Staff requested Board of Commissioners to approve the construction agreement with R.J. Corman for emergency repairs needed to Broadway and Ann to alleviate reoccurring basement flooding on Broadway Street and authorize the mayor to sign hourly documents. Total request would be $131,626. This is an emergency project and will require a budget amendment. Item number 3, amendment number 1 with Orchard Hilts and McClement Incorporated for assistance in easement acquisition for the Prevention Park project. Staff recommends a professional services contract amendment number 1 with OHM Advisors for assistance in easement acquisitions for the Prevention Park project and authorizing the mayor to sign all related documents. These services are budgeted, total cost of $75,000. Item number 4, professional services agreement amendment number 1 with QK4 Incorporated. Staff recommends amendment number 1 for a time extension to the professional services agreement with QK4 Incorporated for assistance with department projects and authorizing the mayor to sign all related documents. These services are budgeted in fiscal year 25-26, total amount $250,000. Item number 5, amendment number 2 with Hazen and Sawyer PSC for additional construction administration services and resident project representative for East Frankfort Interceptor project. Staff recommends professional services contract amendment number 2 with Hazen for additional construction administration services and resident project representative for East Frankfort Interceptor project and authorize the mayor to sign all related documents. Hazen's work has expanded. Additional cost is $225,000. These services are budgeted in fiscal year 25-26. Item number 6, staff requests the Board of Commissioners approval and authorize the mayor's signature on renewal agreement with UKG for use of UKG-ready modules. This is a 3-year contract with the first year being $53,252.48. Item number 7 is personnel action. We have an appointment, Aaron Smith, Police Department, 1/6/2026 police officer. Appointment, Robert Hissel, Police, 1/6/2026 police officer. Appointment, Kyle Helton, Sewer, 1/6/2026 plant operator. Appointment, Brandon Shea, Public Works Streets, 12/30/2025 public tech streets. We have an appointment of Joseph Curtis, Public Works Solid Waste, 12/30/2025 public works tech solid waste. We have an appointment of Dyson No, Public Works Transit, 1/8/2026 transit driver, non-CDL. Resignation, Daniel McGuire, Fire and EMS, 12/26/2025 firefighter paramedic. Resignation, Michael Perkins, Transit, 12/30/2026 transit driver. And resignation, Jackie Cox, Public Works Solid Waste, 1/13/2026 public works tech solid waste.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve the consent calendar. And any discussion or questions? If none, I'll ask Madam Clerk to call for the vote.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that consent calendar is adopted. Next, we have boards, and before we go on to the rest of the agenda, without objection, I would ask that we table the board appointment number 2, Board of Ethics, the appointment of Mary Nishu Muda, and also on the action items, number 3, the first reading of the ordinance related to providing sewer services to areas outside the city limits. We still have some administrative things to get together on both of those. If no one has any objection, that'd be okay? All right, thank you. So the first is a board appointment of John Gilbert. This is a reappointment to the Architectural Review Board with a term expiring September 12th, 2028.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I wasn't, I'll second.
Any discussion on this reappointment of Mr. Gilbert? If none, I will ask for a vote.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that board appointment carries, and thank you, John Gilbert, for serving again. And next, we'll go to action items. First is a second reading.
An ordinance amending City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances, Sections 37.31 and 37.32, related to officer and employee pay structure, classification, and compensation, and salary schedules. This ordinance amends City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances, Section 37.31 and 37.32, to update City of Frankfort's salary schedule, to create 2 new lieutenant positions, and reclassify 1 existing lieutenant position.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, any discussion on this second reading? If none, I'll ask for the vote.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis,
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that ordinance is adopted. Action item number 2.
An ordinance to close an unused portion of public right-of-way being a part of Airport Road, Frankfort, Kentucky. This ordinance establishes a new section of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances closing an unused portion of public right-of-way located on Airport Road, Frankfort, Kentucky, in accordance with KRS 82.405.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right. Motion and a second. Any discussion on this ordinance? And for those who may be watching, what exactly are we doing here?
This ordinance is really just a very small piece of city right-of-way that the state itself asked us for. So we're transferring it to them so that they can complete new terminal construction at the airport. We don't use that.
Supporting growth, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. Put that on our list. All right, if no other discussion or questions, all right, Madam Clerk, please.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Unger?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis?
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Yes. That ordinance is adopted. Action item number 4.
Action item number 4 is Riverfront Visioning and Strategic Plan Agreement. City staff requests that the Board of Commissioners approve an agreement with Sasaki for $333,853. A budget amendment will be required for this agreement, but the general fund can be reimbursed from Downtown and Parks Master Plan money. City staff is recommending Sasaki for our Riverfront Visioning Plan because of their outstanding projects and their focus on flood resiliency. We did receive 12 RFPs when we sent this out, and it was pretty much unanimous. The staff agreed that Sasaki was the right one for this with the riverfront stuff. They've done Chicago Riverwalk is a project that they've completed up in Riverfront Park in Cincinnati, something else that they've done among several other things. And their biggest focus in their proposal to the city was flood resiliency on our riverfront. Locally, they have also done Gatton Park as one of the recent ones that they've done very close by. And we would just like to recommend that we move forward with this, and we've given them a deadline of July 31st to have this complete. I also have Chuck Knowles here if we have any questions. Sarah also served on that board with me. We will probably, right now, we're appointing Eric Cockley as the project manager in consultation with Chuck and myself to continue this going on with that fast turnaround time.
Commissioner Smith Willis.
Will Sasaki, I see that it says July 31st, 2026. Will they present will they present the plan to the board, or will the community be able to see that? Chuck, I guess that's a question for you. Thank you.
I say part of the phase, and I don't want to step on Chuck's toes here, but part of the phase is going to be a lot of consultation with the community and a lot of information gathering with stakeholders.
Right. Yes, we wanted to set a deadline, I guess, end of July. It gives them basically 6 months to perform all activities they've proposed in their scope of work. And we wanted to get that done at that point in time so we could then pursue funding opportunities, both through federal grant opportunities as well as state legislative appropriations, possibly in the coming session for 2027.
So they're going to do something, or in that phase, are they going to do something kind of how KYTC did for the Singing Bridge, like present to the community? I don't know if that's, I might be speaking for them. I'm just curious to see what the feedback for the community is going to look like.
Their public engagement pretty much is laid out in kind of 4 steps. Right up front, they're going to meet with city staff and stakeholders in the community, and we've identified already a list of those, just to kind of get a feel for what people think about what they would like for this riverfront and the vision. Second, they're going to provide a survey that we can distribute to anybody that wants to respond to that. They're also going to develop 3 alternatives for a vision and then get the public engaged as far as what they think, which one they like, similar to what they did at Katima with the Singing Bridge. And then their last one is going to be kind of a presentation to the public as well as the board here as to what they've determined, not only their vision and their strategic plan, but also how they propose to fund some of the early pieces of that.
Great.
Because they're going to prioritize, different parts of that and then figure how they're going to fund that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Commissioner Richardson.
So I just saw, am I right, that we just got some money awarded for Riverbank, firming up the Riverbank, federal government?
Well, it still has to pass the
Yeah,
Senate.
I think like
It
the
was-
mayor said, the House has passed that, 5.8 million, I think, for Riverbank stabilization. And of course, it's got to go to the Senate. to.
I'm being optimistic.
No, well,
I'm trying to be,
Yeah.
right? I always think, you gotta think good, right? Especially with about 2 foot of snow outside, but, this would help with this project, I'm assuming, if this funding comes through, it will, it kind of coordinate with it? I mean, I don't know what I'm looking for.
I think riverbank stabilization is kind of the foundation.
That's
to
kind of
start
where I'm
with,
getting at,
because
right?
when you talk about resiliency, you want something to, after the floodwaters recede, to still be there
Yeah,
when it's done. So this project would complement, I think, the vision
Yeah.
and the strategic plan.
well, I'm comparing it to like Ashland, Owensboro, they've all developed their riverfront developments, and I do know from speaking to some of them, that was a big thing. Like you said, once the water recedes, if there is a flood, that it doesn't take everything with it, including half the land.
Right.
So, I just kind of want to be, I saw that, it comes out, this kind of goes hand in hand together, like you said, maybe the foundation of where it will help, with our riverfront development.
Right, I agree.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Commissioner Unger.
I'd just like to make comment that after reviewing this and looking up Sasaki, they're really an amazing company that have done a lot of really great projects for communities, and you can see how it's transformed riverfronts. So I'm really excited. I feel like I say that a lot, but this could be really big for Frankfort and riverfront. So.
I agree. I think to support what Jason said earlier, one of the key positives of Sasaki out of the 12 responses was their experience and expertise with flooding and resiliency of riverfronts, because they've dealt with, the Ohio River is just like the Kentucky River. It can raise 40 feet.
Yep.
And so they've dealt with the Evansville, they've dealt with the Cincinnati, Ohio riverfronts, and so they've got some experience with, that type of flooding.
I think one of the positives that we also stood out to us was the fact that it wasn't just a plan. They actually they help you to that finish line of getting those projects started and completed. So it's to a ribbon cutting, not just for a plan. And I think that was staff's big focus here. We're trying to find that company that's going to get us to that finish line, not just a plan that sits on a shelf.
Right. Sasaki has good experience with gaining funding, both public and private, for pieces of their projects. So that's another reason we selected them.
To Commissioner Richardson's point, that in terms of the timing, is very good because we requested stabilization funds. This is our second attempt to try to get these through Congress, and now, and so last year it was set aside. This year it was included again. Thankfully, it passed the House, still has to pass the Senate, and there's some challenges there. But Representative Comer felt comfortable enough, they did a press release on it, and we're as far along as that project as we've ever been. But we can't do, whatever Sasaki comes up with here in terms of what should be on the waterfront, we really won't be able to do it with confidence unless we know we're not going to lose a lot of it due to the next flood. So this is foundational. It is the most important step, really. And frankly, it'd be hard for us to do it because it's such a big dollar amount, $5.8 million. And if you look at Owensboro, I took a tour in the fall at the League of Cities conference, and a big part of that, the river wall, was federal money. But then once that was in place, they were able to do locally fund the rest of the other improvements there, and that's what I think here. There's just a lot of opportunity. We know that. Everybody, I think, understands the riverfront's underused asset, and this is an opportunity. I do have a question, and we don't have a motion on the floor yet, do we? I hope this will include, I was wondering if it would include Fort Hill in some way. Could they somehow incorporate access to Fort Hill? Was that talked about on the committee?
As part of the RFP, we had a one-page map where we kind of outlined all of the riverfront areas and adjacent areas that we wanted them to consider as part of their visioning and strategic plan. It ran from Buffalo Trace through downtown and all the way down to Capitol View Park. But part of that was we incorporated Fort Hill also in that. So they will, I guess, attempt to try to connect Fort Hill with the river and the riverfront.
I'll be excited to see what they
I'm
come up
gonna
with.
say, I'm excited to see.
Who knows what they'll come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Any other discussion on this or questions? We got a little. Commissioner Smith Willis.
I just wanted to say thank you to the committee. I think, you know, with these committees, you know, we can only be so many places at one time. So I love the intentionality behind the decision-making with Sasaki. So I just wanted to thank the people that are on the committee to choose the one that best represents our community. So thank you.
That was a chore to go through 12 proposals.
I know.
Listen, I said that
Right
because
at the
I
end of the
saw
year.
how thick the proposal was. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So thank you all for your time.
Yeah,
We-
yeah.
Over the holidays, that's what we all did.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And, you know, just to follow up, and Jason mentioned earlier, of the 8 people on the committee, all of us recognized Sasaki as one of our top. They were the only firm out of 12 that everybody figured that was one of their top. So as we talked through the evaluation process, we kind of landed on them.
That's great.
Madam Clerk, call for the vote.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis.
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Yes, and that passes. Action item number 5.
Number 5 is the pilot agreement for the Capitol Plaza Hotel. This was presented by Gil Johnson at the work session, if you all recall. And we've worked through that, and the county has passed their portion of it, and I believe the school board has as well. And it's just back on this commission to look at the pilot portion.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this pilot and a second. Any discussion or questions? Commissioner Smith Willis.
I just wanted to thank everybody that contributed to this. Payment in lieu were new for me to learn, so I took it upon myself to make sure I went to the fiscal court meetings to make sure that we were aligned with the developers and the school board and the county. I just appreciate all the work and the transparency that was put into this, so thank you all, and I'm also looking forward to this development as well.
I'll just say a couple of things here. So what this is, this IRB, this payment in lieu, and I think, I want to make it clear to everyone that the city is not investing directly in this project. We're not borrowing $33 million to fund this project. All we're doing is agreeing to forego property taxes for 10 years. That's the way I understand it. So we're helping the project by that. We're giving some concessions to the developer, but we're not investing in this. We're not at risk in any way financially. It doesn't affect our credit, and this is a common practice in other cities, and it helps private developers do projects that are otherwise hard to do. And in light of the fact that we've already passed the TIF for this district, we've invested in a parking structure to unlock the growth potential in this district, and anyway, we've already done some things over here. I don't see why we wouldn't go for this. If this is what they need to get it going, I don't want to be the one that holds it up.
Mayor could also say that that pilot also protects the city because it puts certain stipulations on the developer to hold certain jobs at certain occupancy levels. So the pilot helps us maintain that.
Mayor, I was going to mention, there is some safeguards in there to protect the city, so I appreciate staff making sure that you know, if it does go awry, let's hope not, that we do have protections for the city.
Commissioner Unger.
Can we elaborate on those so that people can hear those again?
Sure. Do that.
Please.
So basically, except for the first 3 startup years, anytime that they don't meet the specific requirements, and I'm sorry, I do not have a copy of that. Is it 43, 43?
42% off.
It was 60% occupancy and 42 full-time employees?
Yes.
60% I'm almost 100% on, but the 42 might be 42, 43.
40 to 45 full-time jobs, and I thought it was 43% occupancy, but that might be the current occupancy.
I think the occupancy is actually 60 trending towards 70. That's
60
right.
trending towards 70.
So from that point on, in any calendar year where they don't meet those particular requirements, they will certify as such, we will know, and we will recover 50% of the property tax that would have been due for that year.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? If none, ask the clerk to call for the vote.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Unger?
Yes.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis?
Yes.
Mayor Wilkerson?
Yes, and that pilot agreement is adopted. Action item number 6.
We have a discussion of additional information regarding solid waste, and I'll have Sarah and Byron come up here. I believe you all received this updated packet earlier today.
Okay, so we just wanted to, I know we just talked about this, 2 weeks ago, but we wanted to provide some additional information. There were some questions asked, some things left kind of unanswered, so we've done some work to see if we can't move things. Does this work? Okay. So one of the things that came up was a question about timing, what was our deadline, kind of. The RFP that we put out stipulated that pricing and other conditions would remain firm for 90 days. So we opened responses on January 6th, making that 90 days expire on April 6th. So we do have time to discuss and make a decision. One thing to keep in mind is that the service start dates that were proposed by the responders in their responses was based on an assumption that we would have a determination to award a contract by February 23rd, so next month's regular meeting. Okay, so that, it doesn't mean we can't take additional time, it just means that those dates would be scooched, right? Okay. Next, please, there we go. This is just a reminder, this is the exact same slide that we talked about last time with the municipal versus residential billing from the two primary responders. So, you know, if the city was paying the bill, the two kind of number ranges to look at are the 2.4 to 2.7 million or the 2.7 to 3.2. Okay, this is just a refresher, no new information here. Next, please. Okay, so we did reach out to the responders and ask a couple of additional questions based on feedback that we got. If you'll remember, we had a resident, Mr. Ferguson, stop by last time, and he had a question about, you know, how can I manage my additional waste? So we asked the responders, hey, in this situation, what is your plan? Responder A said that they would allow an additional cart for residents at a $5 per month charge, and that charge would go directly to the resident. Responder B, very similar, said a $3.50 per month charge for an additional cart directly to the resident. Just for comparison with the city currently, how we currently manage those, we have the blue overflow bags that you guys have seen that are available for purchase at both Kroger's. So if a citizen chooses to purchase those and put those out, there's no additional fee to pick them up. They've already paid the fee. There's also landfill vouchers available 4 times per year.
Yes, 4 times per year per resident.
And those are, I think you guys are aware of those. They're available through the county's website. The other question we asked them was just for, I guess just kind of comparison purposes. What, if any, available information were they able to share regarding pay structure, benefits, et cetera? So regarding pay, responder A told us that weekly pay started out at $22 per hour, weekly pay, at 40 hours per week, and that initial pay was increased based on experience. So, and we don't have that exact, bless you, we don't have that exact layout, what those are, but that's the base pay. Responder B didn't elaborate, which they weren't required to, on the exact dollar amount, but similar kind of response, weekly pay, 40 hours a week, and that initial pay was based on experience. For comparison, the city, starting out, we pay $21.66 an hour, and that's a 37.5-hour work week, and we pay biweekly. Both responder A and B responded that they offered 401k, health, dental, and vision. The city similarly offers KPPA participation, which is a 401k style, or 457?
Yeah,
Let's say the wrong thing.
457.
Okay, yeah. Health, dental, and vision. So similar kind of offers. And then in terms of leave time, responder A offers 10 vacation days and 5 personal days starting out. Responder B offers 15 vacation days, and the city offers 12 vacation days and 12 sick days, one of each offered or earned per month. Keep the next one. Okay, so previously when we talked about solid waste costs, we talked about the FY26 budget. So that budget on the books is $2,149,410. Since the time that we initially talked about that, there's been, the system that we use does an adjusted forecast for what they anticipate you're gonna spend that year. So our adjusted forecast for FY26 is $2,391,786. Some of the reasons that's higher than we initially budgeted, due to the flooding we had for this fiscal year, we paid additional tipping fees at the landfill. We paid all those dumpster rental fees. Our automotive repairs, which we'll talk about a little bit on the next slide, that often goes over every year. That's just a reflection of the age and state of the fleet. And then advertising and postage. This was higher than anticipated because we reinstated biweekly recycling, which, although it's a good thing, is expensive to get the word out. Oops. Yeah. Yes, I was, sorry. Okay, so this next slide has a lot of numbers, and we'll talk about all of them. So the operating budget for solid waste, a lot of these categories are things that are not included in that, whether you want to call it 2.1 or 2.3 million. So insurance premiums, I had, or Jason asked Sean Caldwell to break out just the solid waste portion of insurance premiums, and that totals a little over 75,000. Then you've got workers' comp, medical benefits, and all other insurances are all under a different budget category. And those total respectively 28,000, 187,000, and almost 47,000 annually. Now those four costs, well, I guess cost 2, 3, and 4, workers' comp, medical, and benefits, those are directly tied to the number of employees, right? So those are best guesses at what the share for solid waste is. But if those employees are housed, if we privatize and those same number of employees are housed somewhere else, those costs don't necessarily change. The workers' comp might go down a little bit because solid waste is nationally a very dangerous job. It has higher workers' comp claims than a lot of other areas, so you might see a decrease in that. But as long as the same number of overall employees are on board, those numbers aren't going to change much. Another thing we had talked about, just kind of trying to break out a little bit, was special events. Now these prices and these hours here are estimates, and they probably would not change either because the city's still going to have our special events and we're still going to provide these services. But generally speaking, setup goes anywhere from 2 to 15 hours and takes 2 to 4 people. Cleanup for those events, 2 to 4 hours, and usually takes 2 people. And just kind of looking at an overall average of what it costs us in terms of personnel and time, $13,500. Our fleet maintenance garage, I don't remember if we talked about this last time or not. The fleet maintenance garage dedicates almost every Monday to solid waste. The reason being that the solid waste doesn't run a regular route on Mondays. They run a few smaller routes. So Monday is maintenance day. They also, as needed throughout the week, spend time on solid waste vehicles. So this 145 it's just assigning a number to it. That's 25% of the maintenance garage's budget. Now, I'm not saying that if we privatize, we spend that much less money. I'm saying that there's that much time and effort that becomes available to work either on additional vehicles that they aren't currently working on, or to work larger, do larger repairs that they currently don't have time to do. Like, for example, last year, the maintenance garage did a full engine rebuild for one of the fire engines. They did it because it saved us $40,000. But then it puts them behind on everything else. So they don't really have the time regularly to do stuff like that. However, if they were freed up from working on every single Monday and as-needed solid waste vehicles, they would have time to do some of these larger projects or take on additional vehicles that they aren't currently servicing. So it's a savings that I don't really know how to assign a dollar amount to it, but automotive repairs. In this fiscal year's budget, the line item for automotive repairs for solid waste is $268,000. At this point in the year, our anticipated overages in just that category are $174,810.
Over the 268.
Correct, in addition to, yes. And again, that's just age of fleet. And not necessarily even just age of fleet, but when you have a fleet that's older, you end up having vehicles that are repeatedly off the road being serviced, so your vehicles that are in better shape are running longer, right? So they take more of a beating than they should. And then the last one, the big ticket item that's not included in the regular operating expenses, capital expenditures. So this range of $450,000 to $900,000, that includes 1 to 2 trucks purchased annually. So my thought in putting this together was, if we do not privatize and we want to continue having this service, this is what we need to be looking at spending. So 1 to 2 vehicles per year, some upgrades to the facility. They don't have security, they don't have fencing. Routing software would be, this is all stuff we've talked about before, routing software, among other things. So that's a range. So at the bottom, the total there is excluding events, because that doesn't really change. All of these things total up to between 1.2 and 1.68 million. If you take out everything except just the automotive overages and capital expenses, because some of those categories at the top, if we have the same number of employees, don't change, you're looking at 624,000 to 1.07 million, and that's on top of the 2.39 million. Okay, so next slide, pretty please. So that's the purpose of this slide. So our projected budget for this year, 2.39 million, then all of those costs that are incurred based on personnel or capital expenditures every year, for a low total of 3.18 million and a high total of 3.63 million is what we anticipate spending like next year if we keep doing this. Does that? I know I went through a lot of. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I don't have the update.
Sorry. Does that make sense, that kind of range and why it's laid out that way? Okay. Next slide, pretty please. So some of the benefits that we could realize if we were to privatize that you can't really place a monetary value on. We talked about the maintenance garage already, that we could work on either additional vehicles and or larger, more complex repairs that are currently being outsourced. So that would save us not just money, but time. When we outsource a repair, it takes tremendously longer to get that vehicle back and on the road than it does if we perform the same tasks in-house. We have the potential to gain storage or operational space. We have a huge facility on Rouse Avenue that was just revamped, right?
Yeah.
Or repaired after the fire.
Yeah, one half it was revamped, the other half got a makeover, a
Yeah,
facelift, so.
and if we were to privatize, a lot of that space would become available to repurpose. We could talk about better using space at our garage, our streets, location on Bald Knob. We could talk about moving downtown Parks office, or a lot of things. But the point is, there's a space there, there's a building that's in pretty decent condition, that would become useful for something else. We talked a lot last time about quality of life issues. I think for a lot of employees, this might be seen as a morale boost. Byron's staff feels, they're kind of feeling crunched, right? They're feeling, I don't know if overworked is the right word, but they're feeling,
Yeah.
they're feeling the stress of all of this,
Yeah,
like,
overworked at times.
conversation
The
and,
conversation and overwork, because, like I told y'all before, our policy is pretty strict on being time off, and just, last week, for example, I had 2 employees that had to be off early Friday for funerals, and then another employee called in, I had a note for, for sickness, and another employee called in, and he had death in the family, so that put me, 3 or 4 employees down on my biggest route on Friday, so it made it a little rougher and I knew we had the snow coming in, that we had to push the guys a little bit to make sure we get done, that we could be prepared for this weather if we were needed like we were today.
and then finally, at least for a while, you've got a lot of really skilled, amazing employees that could be, rehomed to other places in the city. You could look at additional crews for Public Works or other departments. Like in Public Works, we talked about, it'd be great in streets to have a dedicated concrete crew. Like, how much could we get done if we had a crew that was dedicated almost solely to just doing these concrete projects? You could have a dedicated crew for the vac truck, so more regular maintenance of our stormwater system. We could, outside of Public Works, there's parks, there's sewer, a whole bunch of other places that people are in pretty desperate need of help. And with that, what kind of questions do you guys have? Or thoughts?
Commissioner Richardson.
I don't have any questions other than this is a pretty good detailed, and this is exactly what I think. Some of this, I won't say I knew all of it. Some of it I went out and researched and asked questions of many other municipalities and entities. I appreciate this, and I like what you said about great employees. I mean, they probably, we get a lot of compliments on folks that are in that department. But these numbers and what you've given us lays a picture of the sustainability. And I'm gonna go back to that, and I don't wanna put anybody on the spot, but this is a lot of money to just get it back to where we can be even, right? I mean, this is not even above what we need to be, and we're talking anywhere from, like you said, I mean, we're close to $1 million, probably over that, right? I'm being conservative with that number. I appreciate this. I mean, you've put a lot of work into this, and like I said before, I love how you, we've got a lot of good people that we can repurpose in different areas, which we need help in those areas, especially when it comes to the beautification of our fine city. But I appreciate it. I mean, I'm coming up, I'm just your numbers. I apologize for getting on my phone because I don't like to do that. But if we privatize this and went with just I'm speculating, responder A, I mean, we're looking at somewhere in the excess of $600,000 of savings with everything you put in here, and that is being very ultra conservative, a little over $500,000. And just like you said, Byron, you got employees that I understand coming from the police department, when you are staffed minimums, you've got staffing minimums. I mean, we had that. It really bites that you can't let people off for a funeral, right? And you don't have, we would love to give you 12 more people, but unfortunately, I don't know if the budget can handle that. So, again, both of you have done excellent on this research, and to me, this is exactly what I needed to make that informed decision on this.
That's what we were hoping. We were hoping to give you guys enough information that, making a recommendation to have us either pursue this or not.
I guess my one question would be on what kind of, the contract, the RFP we put out, was it the number of years?
That was my question too.
Fair. So we didn't stipulate that it had to be a certain length. We said that we anticipated or that we anticipated issuing a 5-year contract with the option to renew for a second 5 years. The other option I've kind of been toying with, is instead of doing a 5-year contract with the option to renew once, is a 2-year contract with an option to renew 4 additional times. So it's the same amount of time, right? It's still 10 years, but it gives both the responder and us a little more, especially since it's new, if we do this.
I like that.
Yeah, not dragging it out so long before we revisit. I felt a little more comfortable with that idea. I have not talked to the responders about it, but I assume since it allows them more flexibility as well, that it would, and it's the same amount of time, that it would not be a huge deal.
Commissioner Smith Willis.
Thank you for definitely coming back with some of the questions that I had that I've been thinking about. This, for me personally, I have 2 different thought processes on this. There's my personal side as a resident, and then there's also my side as a leader. Just kind of going back to when we did our strategic planning for the beginning of the year, you know, we talked heavily about quality of life. So for me personally, and I know a few of the solid waste crew members, I just feel like this is something that will contribute to their morale. And then I also, on top of that, you know, I just feel like this is nothing that we put up here is permanent. I want the community to know that. So like, we can make this decision. There's going to be people that appreciate it and some that don't, but none of this is permanent. So I do feel like, you know, to Commissioner Richardson's point, I would like to recoup financially and recover. And then if we ever, my seat might not be here, but whoever's up here could always revisit this conversation for the purpose of the community at that time. So I appreciate the information. I don't think that we can give you 12 employees like we would like to. I was going to say before board comments.
For the stars, right?
Dream big. I was going to save this for board comments, but I just really want to say that I appreciate the work that they're putting in right now. I mean, they are stretched very thin. I'm sure they're tired, but their work does not go unnoticed. But any decision that I make up here is really for the quality of life for the staff and then still for the community. So just thank you for the information, and you've definitely given me something to think about quickly, I suppose.
Commissioner Unger.
Thank you. I also appreciate all the information. I feel like I will be able to really have some good conversations with the community about it. And I think if anyone's listening, I think I hear about trash a lot, good and bad, but usually it's good. People are proud of our crews, and I can think about like 4 years ago, I was just getting nonstop thank you. Mm-hmm. Can you tell them thank you? And so as of lately, I might get a little bit more negative comments. Some people are struggling with the bi-weekly pickup for recycling and just, you know, families. We heard the citizen 2 weeks ago talk to that. But I think I understand the positive in looking at this as maybe saving the city and taxpayers some money. But some cons that I think I worry about, and I made a little list. Potential rate increases. We know that, you know, that can always happen and probably will. Diminished accountability, potentially a change and maybe compromised services. Maybe it's not what we're used to. It's not what, people have come to be used to over the years. And just that loss of control of how good our service is compared to what maybe a private company's could be. And I made note of like lack of innovation. You know, I feel like we've talked about composting over the years of me sitting up here and like what could curbside composting look like, or like a community program. And I could see that a private company may not do that. So that might be something that we would choose to do on our own if we did privatize. But I think this is all really good to think about. But to the sustainability part of either going private or keeping it in-house, you know, can we continue to take on the full brunt budgetarily for this, even if we do privatize? Or will we be billing the citizens? So that's all listed here. Mm-hmm. We know, you know, what those amounts could be. And I was looking back at some notes and just thinking, you know, what was that solid waste fee amount that we had most recently discussed. It was around $25 maybe.
Yeah, I think last time we talked about
A
it, we
month.
were estimating 25
to cover the full 3.6 million or 3 point something.
Well, actually, I don't know if, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know if some of those personnel costs
Were
were included,
included.
like the insurance
Right.
and all of
I
that.
feel
I'd have
like
to
it
go
was
back and
under
look.
3 point. It was like
Yeah.
around 3.
Yeah.
But we had discussed that 25 a month
Mm-hmm.
as a potential fee.
And of
So-
course, if that's, if that's something that that you guys choose to have us look into further, we would make sure to revisit it and recalculate and make sure all the numbers are included, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's it for now. Thank you.
Commissioner May.
Thank you all so much. I echo what everyone said. Appreciate the data that we have so we can make an informed decision. Was there any conversations regarding, as we move forward specifically, who could take on like those boutique services and how we would transition those and keep those in-house as we have the conversation? And then I'm just still real nervous about the fleet management moving forward and knowing that it seems like all of our costs and across departments of that being something, when we talk about ambulances, those costs just keep continuing to go up. So would we plan on, I think we had talked about potentially them purchasing some of the fleet from us? Where are we at in those kind of discussions? And
Responder B actually submitted, based on road hours and make and model year of the vehicles, they actually submitted a table to us with proposed purchase prices for each vehicle. Responder A indicated that they were interested and would like to go through a private valuation of the vehicles and then work that out in the contract base.
And then with A, B, and C, and us not necessarily knowing exactly who those are, but are there conversations that can happen with joining maybe an existing service that already serves the county? Have we had those, or will we be able to have those conversations when we get
I
later down the road?
believe that the county's contract is good through the end of 27.
I believe, without looking.
So unless the county wants to break their contract and that's not really ideal timing. Another benefit to maybe looking at a 2-year contract that we can renew up to 4 times would be that at the end of the first or second 2 years, if the county was in a position that they wanted to talk to us about joining services, that would be an ideal time to do it.
Okay.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, Laura? Was that, no? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's one of my questions is on the coordination with the county. So what we're talking about with the responder A and B right now, that term would coincide with what the county's calendar is?
The 2-year term would.
To be, yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we'd have to, the 2-year would be closer to that. If that's something that we wanted to look into more, we could certainly have discussions with the county. And we could also have discussions with a selected responder about, I don't know how that would look exactly in terms of a contract, but,
We'd have to discuss that before we committed to this though, right?
we wouldn't have to, but it would not hurt to.
Because I think that's, if there's economies of scale, if we think we could, in some cases, I know in Commissioner Richardson's neighborhood, you have our trucks and county, the private company going into the same neighborhood. So it just seems like there's some savings there. And then Commissioner May asked about the upfront payment. So we don't know with Responder A what we would get with an upfront for any vehicles or
Correct.
any equipment. But we do from Responder B.
Correct.
Any ballpark what that would be?
1.4?
Yeah.
1
point something.
1.2 to 1.4, it was somewhere in that
So there
million.
would be some upfront
Yeah,
cash
some
payment.
upfront cash.
Yeah. And like I said, Responder A is also interested, they just wanted to have the vehicles evaluated.
Well, that's an important consideration. And then the salaries that are in the, let's say we realized that some of the employees would go with the private company.
Probably, yeah.
And a lot of them maybe, but we also, some would stay back and go into other departments or other positions. Well, probably the same department, but other positions. So, but those salaries are included in the 2.3 million that we're projecting for.
Our current
Yeah.
employees, yes, yes, they are,
So they would still continue on.
yes.
So it's that, that we have to, I think that's what I was trying to ask in my email.
Yes.
We'd have to add that back in to any
Yeah, so will you
potential
afford a
savings.
couple?
Now, it would still be a benefit
More.
because those people would then we would have more people doing other
Other
things.
things, yeah.
So we'd have, but
Yeah,
I
right-
get
right
that,
here.
but in terms of dollar amounts,
Right.
if I'm comparing apples to apples, I'd like to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we
those-
can't approximate yet, but, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we could just say, let's say half the employees go
Yeah,
private.
so, workers' comp, medical benefits, and insurance are directly tied to how many employees
Yep.
exist that were, that the city. So, and those are the portions just for solid waste right now. So, let's say we privatize and let's say, a third of our employees choose of their own will to go to the private company that would choose or anybody else. Those numbers would reduce by approximately a third. Yeah.
But then the salary, I understand
Salaries
that.
as well, yes.
Right,
The
but
salaries
the-
are included in the operational budget, yes.
Right, but I'm gonna round and say 2.4 million is
Mm-hmm.
what we're gonna spend in 2026. So some of those salaries would be,
I see what you're asking.
wouldn't be savings. When we're comparing this, dollar for dollar, instead of saying, so, okay, our total cost is gonna be, let's say, 3.1 million versus 2.4 for the private company, we need to add back in some salaries that are gonna stay.
Yeah, and we
They're
can do
gonna
that.
stick.
I can do that. We can pull out, yeah, we can do that.
I mean, it
can
still sounds like it's
email-
gonna be a savings. So I
think so.
acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And I realize that those people that are now gonna be doing other things that aren't being tended to now. Could be beautification, could be road, I don't know, could be a lot of things, but if we're comparing dollars there.
I can pull those numbers out and email them to all of you tomorrow.
If it's not too much trouble.
It's not.
Commissioner Smith Willis?
I have two questions. Are we, hypothetically, we move forward with this, are we allowing the staff to choose if they want to be absorbed by
They
the?
currently have the option to choose to be employed wherever they'd like to be employed.
Okay, cool, great.
I mean, none of them have a contract that ties them to
Right.
being here for any specific amount of time, so, I mean, they have free will to pursue employment elsewhere, but obviously I don't want for any of them to be forced to do that.
Right.
But yes, I mean, they all have that opportunity available to them now or at the time that we potentially privatize.
And then my other question was, I'm very interested in, for transparency purposes, to understand and to kind of feel where everybody's coming from. So of course, we have the community. Byron, do you know how the staff is feeling about this conversation? Where are their thoughts on it? And then, of course, the community has their pros and cons. Is that something that I shouldn't open up to? But I'm just curious.
No, they haven't really spoken a whole lot with me about it. I know most of them want to stay there.
Got it,
and live- or want to stay in the city.
got it. Cool, thank you.
Commissioner Richardson?
In all reality, I know I mentioned 12 extra people, but, when you have a manpower, intensive department, sort of like where I came from, your relief factor is huge, I would imagine. So you're working right now, you're one short, am I correct?
Yes, one short.
And you're having a hard time just letting one person off.
Yeah, I mean, we still let them off just like last Friday. I mean, I'm not gonna deny anybody not.
I would agree. I
sickness
get
or
that, and you
funerals or
got,
anything. Whether I have to drive or the assistant drives or our code enforcement drives.
so I'm trying,
Everywhere
I'm
goes
just,
back to one guy on a truck.
how many total you have?
Supposed to have 19, but we're currently at 18.
So I would say your relief factor is somewhere around 4. And I know this because I've done this on a shift level. And what I mean by that is you have training you do, right?
Yep.
You have downtime, you have sick time, you have vacation time. All of that has to play into your department. And there is actually formulas, and I'll be happy to share it with any, because I did it on my shift. It comes up with a relief factor, meaning especially when you have, a minimum staffing. You have to have that minimum staffing. Fire does it, police does it. And it's hard to explain unless you really put it on pen to paper. But you don't have enough staff.
No, I mean, I've known that for.
That's what I'm trying to
I've
get
known
to.
that's for 20-some years.
I know that, I know that.
We've
And-
always been, we've
Yeah.
always taken, we lose a spot, but sometimes we didn't get it back. When I first started, we had 21 employees, 2 supervisory employees and 19 working staff, techs, or what do you want to call them?
And I wish we had that. Back when I remember, Chief Napier and I, we had almost 78 officers too, and we don't have that.
Right.
So
No.
unfortunately, people cost a lot of money
Oh,
these
yeah.
days.
I'm just
They
glad I'm
really-
back up to
yeah.
the numbers that I'm at now, thanks to,
Yeah.
commission, city manager, and the director. We were down to 15 total
Yeah.
employees at one time. We just couldn't survive. It was really tough.
So, and I appreciate Commissioner Smith-Willis talking about that. It is. But, I have talked to some people in your department, and I do think morale, and I think as much as we've took our time on this, and you too, this is not, of, hey, we're trying to get rid of you, we're trying to that. I hope you have conveyed that. And,
Oh, yeah. I tell them all the time.
This is more about, for me, is about our budget mainly. And Commissioner Unger makes a good point, service to our community. But when it really comes down to it, our budget, we only have so much money, and that's it. And the revenue is the revenue. And that's what I'm looking at, and especially these forecast expenditures. I mean, I know for a fact that it's gonna take from something else, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Commissioner May said it, we have a lot of capital things that we need to purchase, and I'm not putting that priority that your truck is more or less important than any other truck, but unfortunately, those trucks are not cheap.
No.
So, I would hope that, I'm not sure where we move from here, we get this information and we move this to the work session. But I do think, because of the timeline, that we really, I'm gonna take this home, I'm gonna digest this and do the same thing as Commissioner Unger. I've already done a lot of these questions, but, I'm hoping we can revisit this at a work session and get this on, one way or another, because I don't wanna keep dragging this out either.
And it's expected that we vote on this at the regular meeting in February, correct? Or if we're gonna move forward with the prices as seen?
When we wrote the RFP, we said that we anticipated being able to award a contract or having approval to award a contract on February 23rd. We also told them that they had to hold their.
For 90 days.
Yeah, their.
Pricing.
Yes, pricing, thank you, for 90 days. So there is a built-in little cushion there. But like I said, if we take longer, it'll just push timelines back.
Commissioner Unger?
Just one more comment as I'm sitting here thinking about it all. Just if the city was to privatize, it just seems like it'd be real hard to bring it back. You're talking about maybe using that space for something completely different. You're talking about buying a whole new fleet of trucks. I think I'd just really like to figure out how to make it sustainable and keep it in-house. It's just where my brain's going at the moment as we keep talking, so. It's a big change.
It is a
And
big
I'm
change.
all for change. Change can be a really good thing too, so. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Anything
Any
else?
other discussion or questions? We'll look to put this on the work session and then see if we need to discuss it more. And I think with the goal of we got to decide into February, right?
And we have 90 days. What was the 90 days?
The 90-day deadline is April 6th, because we opened on January 6th.
For us to give them an answer? Or to
Well,
get, like-
to be able to enter into a
Yes.
contract. So
Got it.
you're really looking at either February 23rd or March, whatever that date is, that we have the regular meeting. Ideally, February 23rd, because then we don't have to look at reevaluating their timelines that they propose. But we have the option.
I have,
Commissioner
sorry.
Smith-Willis?
I have, like I said, I have my personal, like my citizen opinion, then I have my leadership opinion. So just for the record, I just encourage anybody that's watching to just reach out to me so we can have those constructive conversations, because I really don't, this is like a really big decision, like Commissioner Unger said. So I really I just want to open that up to just conversation and dialogue around this to make, so I can make the right decision for my vote. So thank you all very much for the work that you all put into this.
And thank you, Byron, and all
you,
the
guys.
crews for today and yesterday, and.
Yeah, thanks to the crew.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that's the end of action items. Any unfinished business? There's none from the last meeting. How about new business to come before the board? If none, any board comments before we go into executive session?
Mayor, I motion that we go into executive session per KRS 61.810, litigation discussion of litigation regarding the OY and potential litigation involving Poly Construction. Action may be taken in open session.
Second.
All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now in executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like
Mr.
to
Unger?
make a motion to settle all current litigation and claims with Old Y LLC in accordance with the terms of the letter from the Old Y owners dated January 21st, 2026, and authorize the mayor or his designee to sign all related documents.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Unger,
Yes.
Commissioner May,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith Willis.
Yes. My motion carries. All in favor, say aye. Oh, we're good?
Motion to adjourn?
Cool.
Second.
We are adjourned. Have a good evening.